20 years ago, I was a radical feminist graduate student who read and loved Andrea Dworkin, worked part-time at a rape crisis center, and marched to take back the night, full of, in W.B. Yeats's words, passionate intensity. In those days, I would have hated anyone, like me, who criticized the influence of academic feminism on campus. And I would have said to a critic like me that it was disingenuous to criticize women's studies for failing to measure up to some non-existent ideal of pure objectivity or pure scholarship. I would have said there's no such thing as pure scholarship. All disciplines have vested interests, all carry the biases of their surrounding culture, whether it be the woman-hating, Eurocentric, white supremacist biases of Western countries, etc. I would have said women's studies is merely more honest than the others in clarifying what its interests are. That's what I would have said then, yet here I am now to say that I was wrong. After 15 years working as a professor in a discipline that has been extensively shaped by feminist theory, I have come to the conclusion that much of what passes for women's studies scholarship today needs to be fundamentally rethought. Academic feminism has lost its way, far from being honest about its biases and scrupulous in analyzing systemic structures. It has become the institutional arm of a special interest advocacy movement that has far more to do with shoring up power than with really investigating in all their dimensions women's experiences. One of the problems of academic feminism is that it is so secure, so influential, that its need to find enemies has led it into duplicity and ideological narrowness. There just aren't that many legitimate enemies around, especially in the academy anymore. A fact that undoubtedly contributed to the silliness we saw last November at Warren Farrell's talk, when a man who isn't an enemy of woman, a man who merely dissents from some tenets of what has sometimes been called rape crisis feminism, is treated as if he were a dangerous villain and author of hate speech. The sheer frivolousness of this branch of feminism is revealed when students are so falsely invested in some idea of being oppressed by the patriarchy that they feel justified in hurling abuse at those attempting to attend the talk, and actually give the Heil Hitler salute to the police officers attempting to keep order at the event, as if there were any remote equivalence between the position of students protesting at the University of Toronto and the position of Jews under Nazi totalitarianism. That hollow self-posturing is laughable and pitiable. Feminism, in fact, has been so successful, it has swept through the academy with next to no resistance, that its claims of being a movement of those outside of power look like just pure false posturing. But it has to maintain such claims because its whole reason for being depends on an activist orientation towards women's position in society. And this, I think, is the fundamental contradiction of a purportedly scholarly discipline based on an ideological agenda. It can't admit when its reform goals have been achieved, because to do so would be to radically weaken the claimed necessity of its continued existence. So it must always find new wars to fight, new sources of inequality to decry, and that also means, therefore, that the discipline can't really be, at base, about the pursuit of truth. It must always be advancing its ideological agenda, maintaining its worldview, by whatever means necessary.